Do you look at how much is being raised? And I think the co-host of the Friday Night Dinner, $353,000 a couple to be a co-chair. Do you look at it yourself and think that's an obscene amount of money?
Yes, I think it's an obscene amount of money. I think that, we had some protesters last night when we pulled up in San Francisco, and they're right to protest. They're absolutely right. It is an obscene amount of money. The Sanders campaign, when they talk about it, is absolutely right. It's ridiculous that we should have this kind of money in politics. I agree completely.
It's interesting. Our camera caught you having a conversation with the protesters last night. What did you say to them?
Well, that was the funniest thing. I went over to try to talk to him, and he said I was some corporate shill, which, if you know me, that's one of the funnier things you could say about me. And then he just said, you sucked as Batman, and I was like, well, you kind of got me on that one, and then I walked away, and that was basically it. But I think what's important, and what I think the Clinton campaign has not been very good at explaining is this, and this is the truth. The overwhelming amount of money that we're raising, and it is a lot, but the overwhelming amount of the money that we're raising is not going to Hillary to run for president. It's going to the down ticket. It's going to the congressmen and senators to try to take back Congress. And the reason that's important, and the reason it's important to me, is because I'm a Democrat, so if you're Republican, you're going to disagree, but we need to take the Senate back because we need to confirm a Supreme Court justice, because that fifth vote on the Supreme Court can overturn Citizens United and get this obscene, ridiculous amount of money out so I never have to do a fundraiser again.
Oh, George, if only that were true. I know you think it's true, and I'm sorry. And that's a great freeze frame. We're going to leave that freeze frame on George. That's just beautiful. We're going to leave that right there. So we learned in the last 2 days, everybody, and hi, how you doing? We're waiting for the Bernie Sanders rally to start. I've got it pulled up here, but I'm going to leave that freeze frame on George for a while because I think that's beautiful. George, I never thought you were a shill. I didn't think you were a corporate shill. I think what you are is ignorant. I think what you are is undereducated as to just how corrupt the establishment is. And we learned today that there is actually a bit of an issue with that money going to down-ticket candidates. We actually learned this yesterday thanks to Politico, but it's really exploded today. We'll take a look at that real quick. And yes, I'm keeping an eye on the campaign, or on the rally over here, courtesy of Wave 3 News NBC. But this came out yesterday from Politico. Hillary Clinton fundraising leaves little for state parties, and I'm just going to give you the quick of it. Bottom line, everybody, is they found out a vast majority, 88% of the money that Clinton says she's been raising for the DNC, which is for the down ticket, which is what George Clooney is talking about. The reason that he's doing this is because he's a Democrat, and it's important for him to make sure that he can get the money in there, right? So that it can go to the down ticket candidates, so that we can put in a Supreme Court justice. Somehow that has something to do with the down ticket candidates, and I think the president usually takes care of that. And then we're going to get this guy in, and he's going to overturn Citizens United, which we learned recently really isn't going to do much when we're talking about money in politics. Yes, we need to overturn Citizens United, but it in fact is a small portion of the problem. So George, even Batman can be fooled by the establishment. And I didn't think you did a bad job playing him at all. I don't know. Still keeping an eye on this. Looks like they're rallying up. I just want to cover a little bit more of this really fast. So what happened was Politico said, we got a problem here. Well, most of the money isn't going to down-ticket candidates. And down-ticket candidates were unhappy. We'll see that in a second. Politico exposes campaign money laundering scheme. This was the Bernie Sanders campaign put this out. And then Common Dreams picks up the story. State party officials reportedly displeased with Clinton DNC laundering scheme. And according to Scott Galindez, who's here with us, crank on the mic. You don't have to say anything yet, Scott. But according to Scott Galindez, there's some superdelegates, some Hillary superdelegates are like, I'm not going to get my money. And the whole point of the money ring is so that everybody gets money. But when Hillary takes it all, that makes us angry. And so the Bernie campaign today let's tell Hillary Clinton campaign, your victory fund is not supposed to go to you. It's supposed to go to all of us, supposed to share in this victory of the Democratic Party that George Clooney and Batman want to support. But as we found out, it really just goes to Hillary because she's not doing so well. She's not doing so well. Scott, what do you think of all that?
I think one of the things they're complaining about is that it's actually a Clinton staffer that runs the funds.
Oh, geez.
And so their money actually went to the, and then was transferred back to the DNC by the Clinton staffer without the state parties knowing that it was going to be transferred back.
So is that illegal? That's my first question, because I know there's a lot of campaign stuff that can happen that sounds illegal, but apparently isn't. So one, is that illegal?
It's new to me. It's this new,
Is it a conflict of interest at least? Is that what we're seeing
a new
here?
way to get around the campaign limits. So
All right.
I'll judge to decide whether it's legal for them to skirt the laws that way or not.
Okay. Give me a minute here, everybody. I'm Scott. Keep talking about it. Tell them more about it. I got to frame up the rally.
Quick update that
Yeah.
they've called Indiana for Trump on the Republican side,
Go figure.
and too early to call as well as what and on the Democratic side.
Okay.
And last time I looked, it was 53-47, which is, so it's tightening from when the results first started coming in.
All right.
And
Where are we getting this echo from?
What's that?
Getting a big echo coming in here. Oh, it was on your side. It's gone now. It was just
Okay.
Google Hangouts. Everybody, I'm showing you the rally, by the way. This is coming in from Wave 3 News, NBC affiliate. We really appreciate them giving us this live stream. And thank you
Actually,
to Karen Swanson for finding it. Yes, Scott?
With 7% reporting 52-48, so definitely
wow.
the Bernie direction.
Wow. That is a huge gap close right there. Woo! Now, is there any chance of this swinging back the other way?
In one of the counties that I was checking, Vigo County, which is where Indiana State is, when I first checked it, it was going heavy for Hillary, 70% for Hillary, but that's now 56-43, so she's sliding in that county where Indiana State is.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is like more than 200 of you with us. Thank you for being here. We're just we're paying attention to a lot of stuff. We've got the poll results or the primary results coming in right now, and they've just, the gap has really, I mean, Scott, since we started the program, we were right before this. We were looking at the numbers and wondering how long it was going to take, and I think that was quick. That was quick closing the gap. And your prediction on this again? Where do you think this is going to fall at this point?
I think there's a good chance that Bernie's going to win, especially the way the spin from both campaigns has been going all day. It's definitely more optimistic from the Sanders side.
I just want everybody to hear, for the record, everybody out there who watches Scott on the newsroom in the morning on politicalrevolution.tv, it is true. Scott can change his mind, and he can have an optimistic view. So I just want, for the record, I know you don't believe it, but it just doesn't usually happen on the newsroom. But it's happening right here. So Scott's optimistic about Bernie pulling this out.
I think I'm actually more optimistic than people think, but sometimes I have to counter over-optimism.
Well, see, I don't know. I have to agree with. I mean, you did. This is not what you said earlier. You were very, you were like, I think Hillary's going to pull this out, blah blah blah. But now you change your mind. But this is how crazy this election has been. I mean, seriously.
I think I said today was going to be close. I didn't.
You said Hillary was going to win earlier. You thought your prediction was that Hillary was going to win.
I said she was up the poll. She was only up 4 points in the polls, and we were she was up by more in Michigan than she was up in Indiana. I didn't say she was.
Well, I
Oh,
mean,
when I said my prediction,
yeah, yeah.
no, that was a prediction. Is if the race is really close, that the last place to report will be Gary, Indiana, and it'll put Hillary over the top. That would be the
Ah,
pick. That if it's really close, Gary will deliver whatever Hillary needs.
okay. So see, but that's what you said. All right,
That's
everybody.
that's just it's the spillover of Chicago politics. Gary's a suburb of Chicago, so
Where did you get? Did you take notes? Where'd that come from? My gosh, she's scary. She's got this written in notes. The old retired 1% are in Gary. Most likely where we'll get the last results from. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, as far as the last place to show results, Gary is going to be it. Is that just because it's
it
very
was in
popular?
2008, and there was a lot of talk that it delivered whatever Obama needed, and
Ooh.
he had Illinois, Chicago political network behind him.
Yeah.
But I think that with Rahm there in Chicago, it'll work for Hillary if they need it.
Interesting.
If it's close enough. If that's only if the race is close enough.
That's a pretty scene there, everybody. Just thought I'd show that. Better than looking at our mugs. Place a vote. While we're talking about it, I'm just going to take a left turn, Clyde. How many of you have gone to placeavote.com, signed up, and started being active in your democracy? This is not like talking or ranting or placing a vote on Twitter or Facebook. This is actually something that will count, and your politician is going to look at it. So please go to placeavote.com, take an active participation in your democracy. We will talk more about this in the newsroom in the morning, but it's important. We had Luke Davis on today. Yeah, Jesse is apparently recording everything we say, Scott. We got to be careful.
Oh, okay.
Going to be a good day for a rally. So we have a chance of pulling this out. I am excited, and I actually don't have the right. Let me get the screen up.
So
here.
how many screenshots should you take of me wearing that Warren?
Put that hat back on. Put that hat back on.
It's
Scott had it.
my hair, with my hat hair. Let's see. But this
There
was
you go.
before
There you go.
this last February when I first got to Iowa. I got this
That's before, huh?
before Bernie.
Before Bernie. That was in February. Bernie announced in May, correct?
It was, yeah.
Bernie announced in May of, I think it was mid-May of 2015. I created Bernie 2016 at the end of May, beginning of June. And this, Run, Warren, Run, was in February. And when was your interview with Bernie Sanders?
That was in late February too.
That was in late February too. And did he talk about running then? I don't even remember. Did he mention it at all?
Oh, yeah, he was on what a lot of people call a listening tour. He was going around trying to decide whether to run and whether he was going to run as an independent or as a Democrat if he decided to run. And so he over 3 days he went to about 7. He had about 7 stops in Iowa on that trip.
This is all back before. Well, this is back when the establishment media had a stranglehold on the information lines, and were completely.
Prior to him coming to Iowa in late February, the only Democrat game in town was the Run, Warren, Run effort from Move On. They had offices and everything. Nobody else was on the ground yet.
Oh, something might be going on. Hang on. They just zoomed in. Give me a second, everybody. Yep, somebody's up.
So I fell in love with volunteering, and I wanted to do more. And so The first team that I got involved in was our PVT team. PVT stands for our phone bank trainers. And so I've had the opportunity, well, first of all, I'm gonna give a shout out to my other trainers out there, and they're watching across the country. But we get to train folks from across the world to call for Bernie. And I have had the privilege of training people from Israel and Australia and Canada and just so many other places that are so excited about Bernie. And if you're interested, we'd love for you to check out berniesanders.com/phone bank, because you might get to talk to me or my other trainers. I've also had the chance to work on our caller support for live chat. I've had a chance to contact, we have a team that contacts phone bank host and then other volunteers. But some people have asked me, like, why do you care? Like, why volunteer? What's the purpose? And for me, my political frustration started with one little word, actually one big word, and that is healthcare. Okay? Yep. So in 2008, when the economy took a nosedive, so did my job in nonprofit. Consequently, I lost my job 1 month before my son was born, and that was 10 months after my daughter was born. So I'll let you do the math on that one, okay? Now, during that time, we had to go on government assistance so that we could take care of our kids. Now, for my husband and I thought we knew what life on government assistance looked like, and it didn't look like us. We had 3 college degrees between us. We paid in installments for grad school so that we would not go into debt. And there we were. I was without a job. My husband works too, and we had 2 babies, and it was terrifying. So after that, after I was able to go on government assistance for a little while, I was no longer covered for government assistance, and so I started the process of insurance. I contacted 3 companies. I got rejected by 3 companies because of pre-existing conditions. I had no options, and so this for me, I felt like I understood what people go through. I was terrified. I had no resources and no options. And so for me, and we were also living on the brink of bankruptcy because of medical debt. And so at that point, I realized what so many people go through in just healthcare. So this is why I realize and I feel that healthcare should be a right and not a privilege. So I volunteer because I want to fight with those who are fighting for us, okay? And I feel like that person is Bernie Sanders. So, Bernie, hopefully you don't mind if I call you that, Senator Sanders, I love your heart and your commitment and passion for others. I want to thank you for not giving up hope in what we could be. Thank you for continuously fighting for a better world. Thank you for being honest and tireless in your political and personal life, for saying what this country needs, giving those without voices a voice, and speaking truth to power. That's right. So I am here today because he gives me hope. And so I'm going to speak to, I know he's somewhere in here, so I'm here today because you give me hope. And we are here today because you give us hope. And we will continue to give our time, energy, and passion because of the hope that you have instilled in us. And when we vote on May 17th, it will be for you, Senator Sanders. The leader of the People's Revolution. Thank you, guys.
Let's do this right. When I say Bernie, you say Sanders. Louisville feeling the burn or what? Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Barney, and I am the field director here for Bernie 2016 Kentucky. I've been with the campaign since November, starting in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we defied the conventional wisdom of the establishment and got within 5% when there wasn't a single poll that had us within 20. Then from Las Vegas, I took a trip north to Seattle, Washington, where we won with 73% of the vote. And now I'm back in my new Kentucky home. I want to thank you all for being here today, and I want to ask the audience one question. By a show of hands, how many of
The audio just cut out at source.
Americans struggle each day balancing paying bills with putting food on the table? Too many Americans are without access to affordable transportation. Too many Americans have given up on the systems that are there to support them. Too many Americans are saying, help me out here, enough is enough. That's where you come in. Now is not the time for thinking small. The political revolution is not about Bernie Sanders. It's not about me. It's not about media coverage or political spin. It's about you and the millions of other Americans who have already become and will become engaged in the political process to spark the kind of real change that we have all known is long overdue. This campaign has done incredible things, and it's all because of you and the tens of thousands of other volunteers across the country. The most effective thing we could ever do is have one-on-one, real conversations with voters about the issues that they care about the most. And that's how we win, by knocking on our neighbors' doors and calling them on the phone. The campaign has come to you, Kentucky. Will you help Bernie win the Bluegrass State? Up until this point, we have knocked on over 11,000 doors and made actually 60,000 phone calls in just 3 short weeks. Now I want everyone here to get involved. Think about what this campaign is about. Think about how many of you are here taking part in a political movement for the first time in your lives, and think about why. Then I ask you to use that energy, that motivation, to help get the rest of the Commonwealth feeling the burn on May 17th. We had troves of volunteers. You probably saw me trolling up and down the lines all day today. We had folks with clipboards out. If you did not fill out one of the clipboards, I want you to do me a favor and take your cell phone out right now. Take your cell phone out. I need you to text something for me, so if you can grab that cell phone. Text KY to 82623. That's KY to 82623. You'll get a response from us, and then you can put in your zip code, and we'll plug you into your nearest campaign office. Speaking of that, to find out which one of our 7 offices throughout the Commonwealth is closest to you, head on over to map.berniesanders.com and see what's going on in your area. For all you Louisvillians, our office is located at 1832 Frankfort Avenue, right across the street from the American Printing House for the Blind. Carly Rodman is our field organizer there. I want to see that office packed every day from now on, Louisville. Come on. I know we can do it. Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you.
Big thank you to Wave 3 News for providing the coverage. Wave 3 News.
Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Louisville, thank you. Whoa. In case you haven't noticed, there are a lot of people here tonight, and I appreciate that. This campaign began just about a year ago. And when we began, people were saying, well, you know, Bernie is a nice guy. He combs his hair beautifully. But nonetheless, he is a fringe candidate. Well, all right. Well, a lot has happened in the last year. As of today, we have now won 17 primaries and caucuses. We have received some 9 million votes. When we started this campaign, we were 60 points behind Secretary Clinton in national polls. Now, a few of the polls actually have us ahead or a few points down. And I'll tell you what is extremely exciting for me. And that is that in primary after primary, caucus after caucus, we end up winning the vote of people 45 years of age or younger. And that is important because it tells me that the ideas that we are fighting for are the ideas of the future of America and the future of the Democratic Party. I am running for president because we live in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, but most Americans don't know that because the economy is rigged and almost all new income and wealth goes to the top 1%. The issue of wealth and income inequality is the great moral issue of our time. It is the great economic issue of our time. It is the great political issue of our time, and together we will address that issue. Let us be very clear. In America today, the top 0.1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. The top 20 people in this country in wealth now own more wealth than the bottom 150 million Americans, half of our population. We've got one family, the Walton family of Walmart. Wow. They are worth $149 billion more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people. And when you talk about a rigged economy, that is exactly what Walmart and the Walton family are all about. They pay their workers wages that are so low that the American taxpayer has to pay for the food stamps and the Medicaid that the American taxpayer is paying for the food stamps and Medicaid that many Walmart employees need because their wages are too low. Now, it is a little bit nuts to my mind when the middle class of this country has to subsidize the employees of the wealthiest family in this country. But it is not just wealth. It is not just wealth, it is income. In America today, we have millions of people working longer hours for lower wages. We have families today where mom is working 40 hours, dad's working 40 hours, the kids are working, and they're still not earning enough money to provide for their family. And that is why together we are going to create an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%. Together, we are going to end this absurdity of having a national minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Together, we are going to create a minimum wage, which is a living wage, $15 an hour. It is not a radical idea to say that in America, in Kentucky, in Vermont, if you work 40 hours a week, you should not be living in poverty. And when we talk about equitable wages, we are going to end the embarrassment of women making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. I know that every man here is going to stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. In America today, our infrastructure, that is our water systems. I was in Flint, Michigan a couple of months ago, and what I saw in Flint was something that I will never forget, and that is children being poisoned by excessive lead in their water. This should not be happening in this country in the year 2016. But it is not just Flint that has problems with its water. Hundreds of communities have similar problems, but it's not just water. It's our roads and our bridges and our airports and our rail system and our levees and our dams. This is America. Our infrastructure should not be crumbling. And that is why together we are going to invest in rebuilding our infrastructure. And when we do that, we're going to create 13 million decent paying jobs. And when we talk about the needs of the American people, all of us understand that we live in a competitive global economy. And that means that we need the best educated workforce in the world. There is something a little bit crazy when young people go to college, get the best education they can, and then they end up $30,000, $50,000, $70,000 in debt. Anybody here with student debt? Well, in my view, we should be encouraging people to get an education, not punishing people for getting that education. And that is why we're going to do two things. Number one, in the world today, it is no longer good enough to talk about public education being first grade through 12th grade. Truth is that a changing economy and changing technology requires people to get more education. 50 years ago, if you had a high school degree, you were doing pretty well. You can go out, get a job, make it into the middle class. That is not the case today. Today, in my view, when we talk about public education, we must be talking about making public colleges and universities tuition free. It is insane, in my view, that we've got hundreds of thousands of bright young people who are qualified to go to college but are unable to do so because their families lack the income. That is unfair to them. It is unfair to the future of this country. We don't know how many scientists and doctors and great business people cannot get the education they need. And second of all, it is absurd that we have millions of people in our country today that are being crushed by high levels of student debt. I have talked to people all over this country. Doctor in Vermont, $300,000 in debt. A dentist in Iowa, $400,000 in debt. Young man drops out of college after 2 years in Iowa, $60,000 in debt. A guy who was 55 years of age in Nevada, he's been paying off his student debt for 25 years. He's more in debt today than he was when he took it out. That is nuts. It really is nuts. And so what we're going to do for those who have student debt, we're going to allow them to refinance that debt at the lowest interest rates they can find. Now, what this means, which is pretty revolutionary, is it says to kids in Kentucky and in Vermont and West Virginia, all over this country, it says to those kids in the 4th grade and the 6th grade that if you study hard, if you do well in school, yes, regardless of the income of your family, you will be able to get a college education. Now, throughout this campaign, my critics and my opponent have been saying, well, Bernie, you know, you're a nice guy. You want to give out free tuition at public colleges and universities. You want to substantially reduce student debt. How are you going to pay for it? Well, I will tell you exactly how we will pay for it. We are going to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. 8 years ago, when Wall Street's greed and recklessness and illegal behavior brought this country into the worst economic decline since the Great Depression, Congress, against my vote, bailed them out. Well, in my view, now is the time for Wall Street to help the middle class of this country. This campaign is listening to senior citizens, disabled veterans, and people who have disabilities. A great nation is not judged by the number of millionaires or nuclear weapons it has. A great nation is judged by how it treats the weakest and most vulnerable among us. Today in Kentucky and in Vermont and in states all over this country, and you don't hear a whole lot about this, but there are millions of seniors and disabled vets who are trying to get by on $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 a year Social Security. And you know what? Nobody can get by on $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 a year Social Security. You can't buy the medicine you need, the food you need, pay the rent. You just can't do it. Now, what the Republicans say when they hear this, they say we're going to cut Social Security benefits. We are not going to cut Social Security benefits. We, in fact, are going to expand Social Security benefits. Let me, for a moment, talk about some of the differences that exist between Secretary Clinton and myself. And one of the differences is very important because it deals with how you raise the money you need for your campaign. Now, the truth is that in the year 2016, it cost hundreds of millions of dollars, unfortunately, to run for president of the United States. And when we began this process, we had to make a very simple decision. Do we do what every other campaign for president is doing and establish a super PAC? Do we beg Wall Street and corporate America and the drug companies for campaign contributions? Well, we agreed with you. And we concluded that we don't represent the billionaire class, we don't represent Wall Street, we don't represent corporate America. We don't want their money. And we're going to raise our campaign funds in a different way. And then I never would have believed, to be very honest with you, that this could have happened. But in the last year, we have received over 7.3 million individual contributions. $7.3 million. Anyone know what the average contribution is? I love that. I really love that. What is revolutionary about that is we have shown the world that we can run a winning national campaign without being dependent on powerful and wealthy special interests. Secretary Clinton has chosen to raise her funds in a different way. She has a number of super PACs, and in the last filing period, her major super PAC reported $25 million from special interest, including $15 million from Wall Street. In addition to that, as some of you may know, Secretary Clinton has given a number of speeches to Wall Street financial institutions for $225,000 a speech. Now, $225,000, that is a lot of money. And I kind of figure that if you give a speech for that kind of money, it must be a brilliant, earth-shattering speech. It must be a speech that will help us solve all of our global problems. It must be a speech written in Shakespearean prose. And therefore, I think a speech that extraordinary should be shared with all of the people. Secretary Clinton has said, well, she will release the transcripts when other people do the same. So let me make, here in Louisville tonight, let me make a special announcement. And that announcement is, I am prepared to release the transcripts of all of the speeches I have given on Wall Street. All right, Louisville, you ready? Here it is. Shh, you got it. All right, did you get all of the transcripts? You got them, okay. No speeches, not for $2.25, not for $2, no speeches behind closed doors to Wall Street at all. But you know, I got my cell phone on, and I'm waiting for that call from Wall Street inviting me to give them a speech. And I'm going to make it easy for Wall Street. I don't want $225,000. I don't want $25. I don't want anything. But I do want the opportunity to tell them face to face what their greed and illegal behavior has done to this country. As a result of what they have done, as many of you know, millions of our fellow Americans have lost their jobs, they have lost their homes, they have lost their life savings, and Wall Street has got to understand that. And I want to tell you a brief story which kind of encapsulates everything that this campaign is about. A few weeks ago, Goldman Sachs, one of the major financial institutions, they reached a settlement with the federal government for $5 billion. And they reached that settlement because they had been selling worthless packages of subprime mortgage loans. In other words, they were ripping people off and operating in a fraudulent manner. But to be fair to Goldman Sachs, they were not the only one. That's what every one of these damn banks was doing. Now, here's the other thing to understand when we talk about America today and why it is too late for establishment politics and establishment economics. Goldman Sachs, the other major Wall Street banks, operated in a fraudulent manner. Goldman Sachs paid $5 billion settlement. But that's not all. Over the last 25 years, the political power of Goldman Sachs through the revolving door process meant that at least 2 top executives at Goldman Sachs went on to become secretaries of the Treasury. And many other executives assumed very important positions in Democratic and Republican administrations. You all know what the revolving door means? What the revolving door means is you work on Wall Street, you go into the government, you represent Wall Street in the government, and then you go back to Wall Street. That's what the revolving door is about. Thirdly, what Goldman Sachs has done over the years, like other Wall Street financial institutions, they have made huge, and I mean huge, campaign contributions to politicians of all stripes. And here is the last thing that we need to know about what's happening at Goldman Sachs. And this really, really gets the American people angry. Today in Kentucky or in Vermont, some kid gets picked up with marijuana, and that kid will get a criminal record that will last his entire life. All right, hang on there. We're going to deal with that one in a minute. But here is my point. If you're a kid with marijuana, you got a criminal record, last your entire life, which is no joke, because you go out and you try to get a job with a criminal record, may not be so easy. But if you are an executive on Wall Street, if you are the 1%, if you are part of the most powerful institution in America, you can commit illegal acts which wreck the lives of millions of people. And you know what happens to you? You get an increase in your compensation package. Well, you know what we're going to do together? We are going to bring justice back to the criminal justice system. And justice means that even if you're wealthy and powerful, and if you break the law, you have got to pay the price. Let me talk about just a few other differences between Secretary Clinton and myself. All of you know that one of the very important things that a president of the United States does is deal with foreign policy and military policy. The most important debate that we have had as a country in the modern history of the United States has been over the war in Iraq. I listened in 2002 very closely to what President Bush I think we don't know. Let's hold off, not for sure. All right, but back to 2002. And here is the issue. All of us know that there are no more important issues than the issues of war and peace. And I know that as a congressman and a senator. Because when you vote for a war, you know that some of the young people in your state who you send off at deployments, and you say, God bless you, best of luck, you know that some of those young men and women will not come home. And I listened very carefully to what Bush and Cheney and all the rest were saying about Iraq. And not only did I vote against that war, I helped lead the opposition to that war. And it gives me no pleasure. I wish I could tell you otherwise. It gives me no pleasure to tell you that if you go to my website, listen to what I said on the floor of the House in 2002. And much of what I feared about the destabilization that would take place in the Middle East turned out to be true. On the other hand, Secretary Clinton, the senator from New York State, she heard the same evidence that I heard. She voted for the war in Iraq. And while we are on issues of war and peace, let me say this. We all know that not only should must ISIS be defeated, ISIS must be crushed. But we also know that this country and our brave men and women in the military should not be involved in perpetual warfare in the Middle East. Now, I have heard many of my colleagues, my Republican colleagues, especially on the floor of the Senate, on the floor of the House, they're really tough. They want to go to war here. They want to go to war there. They want to go there. But let me tell you something. It is not their kids who are going to go to war. It is the children of working families in this country. So we have got to understand that war and military force sometimes, of course, has got to be used. But it is the last recourse, not the first recourse. There is another area where Secretary Clinton and I disagree. She wants to raise the minimum wage, and that's good. She wants to raise it to $12 an hour. Not good enough. I am proud to have stood on the picket lines with fast food workers from McDonald's and Burger King. And they understand that in this country we need a $15 an hour minimum wage. And I will stand with those workers in that fight. This campaign is asking the American people to think outside of the box and outside of status quo thinking. This campaign is asking people why it is that there is only one major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people. Now, I have been criticized for saying this, so let me say it again. And this is a big, big deal. In my view, health care is a right of all people, not a privilege. And thinking outside of the box asks us to think why it is that if you are wealthy in this country, you can get great health care. But if you're working class or poor, you may not have any health insurance at all, or you're going to have very high deductibles and co-payments. We lose thousands of people every year who do not have the money to go to the doctor when they should. In my view, when we understand that 29 million Americans have no health insurance, even more are underinsured, and when we are getting ripped off every single day by the drug companies who charge us the highest prices in the world for medicine, when we end up paying far, far more per capita for health care than do the people of any other major country, now is the time for us to go forward and pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. Now, I want you to think for a moment, and this is thinking outside of corporate TV. It's thinking outside of the status quo. Think what that means for America. It means that anybody in this country who gets sick goes to the doctor when they need to go. It means that if you get seriously ill or you have an accident, you run up a big hospital bill, you're not going to go bankrupt. And this is what it also means, which is pretty revolutionary. It means that right now in America, we have millions of people doing jobs that they really do not want to do, but they're staying on those jobs because they may have a decent health insurance plan for their families. Think what happens to America when we unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of this country, when millions of people can go out, start businesses, and know that they will have health insurance for themselves and their families. That is revolutionary. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. And they are crying out for reforms of a broken criminal justice system. Now, I was a mayor for 8 years, and I worked very closely with my local police department and police departments all over this country. Vast majority of police officers are honest, hardworking, and they're doing a very, very difficult job. They deserve our support. But like any other public official, when a police officer breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. We need major reforms of local police departments. We've got to start demilitarizing local police departments. We have to make local police departments reflect the diversity of the communities they serve. We need, as a nation, to understand that lethal force, the killing of somebody, is the last response, not the first response. We need to end, and I've got legislation in to do this, private corporate ownership of prisons and detention centers. We need to rethink the so-called war on drugs. Over the last 30 years, millions of people have received criminal records because of possession of marijuana. Today, under the Federal Controlled Substance Act, marijuana is listed as a Schedule I drug next to heroin. I have introduced legislation and will implement as president getting marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substance Act. States, it is the decision of the people of a state to decide whether they want to legalize marijuana or not, and more states are doing that. But it should not be a federal crime. And when we talk about drugs in my state and all over this country, we are facing an enormous crisis with opiate addiction and with heroin addiction. Every day, people are dying from overdosing on those drugs. Now, in my view, if we are going to deal effectively with that crisis, what we have got to understand is substance abuse and addiction should be treated as a health issue, not a criminal issue. And that means that we need in this country a revolution in mental health treatment. Right now, in virtually every part of this country, people who are suffering mental health crises, people who are suffering with addictions, people who are suicidal, people who may be homicidal, they cannot get the treatment they need when they need it. And that has got to change. You know, we spend trillions of dollars on the war in Iraq. We have spent billions rebuilding infrastructure in Iraq and Afghanistan. And yet, if you look at the inner cities of this country, what you see is outrageous levels of unemployment and poverty, people who cannot find affordable housing, and you're seeing schools that are crumbling. If we can rebuild the infrastructure of Afghanistan, we damn well can rebuild the inner cities in America. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Latino community. There are 11 million undocumented people in this country, and I have talked to many of them. All right, there's one right here. That's good. Come on. Is it good to have a selfie with you? Yeah, right away. Mucho gusto. Viva Bernie! Viva Bernie! When you are undocumented and when you have no legal protection, that means that when you go to work, you can be exploited by your employer because you have no legal rights to protect yourself. And that is happening all over this country, and I've talked to undocumented people who are scared to death that their families will be separated, somebody will be deported tomorrow. In my view, we need to move aggressively toward comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. And if Congress does not do its job in passing immigration reform, I will use the executive powers of the presidency to do all that I can. This campaign is listening to a group of people whose pain is almost never heard, and that is the Native American community. All of you know that from before this country became a country, when the settlers first came here, the Native American people were lied to, they were cheated, and treaties that they had signed were broken. And all of you also know that we owe a debt of gratitude to the Native American people that we can never repay. They have taught us so much, and one of the important lessons that they have taught us, which we must learn, is that as human beings, we are part of nature. That as human beings, we must exist with nature, not destroy nature. And that takes us to an issue not only of enormous importance for our country, but of enormous importance for the entire planet. And that is, as a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment, I have talked to scientists all over this country and all over the world. The debate is over. Climate change is real. Climate change is caused by human activity. Climate change is already causing devastating problems in this country and throughout the world. We have a moral responsibility as custodians of this planet to make certain that we leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable for our children and our grandchildren. And that means that we must stand up to the fossil fuel industry and tell them that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. Now, I understand that as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency, to sustainable energies like wind, solar, geothermal, and other technologies, there will be economic dislocation. And there will be innocent people who want nothing more than to provide for their families, who will be hurt in that transition. And that is why in the legislation that I have offered in the Senate, the most comprehensive climate change legislation ever offered in the Senate, that we provide $41 billion to help workers who might be dislocated. I know that all over this country there is a fear that Donald Trump will be elected President of the United States. I am here to tell you that won't happen. It won't happen. It won't happen because in every national poll that I have seen for a long time, we beat Trump by double-digit numbers. But it is not only the polls. Polls go up and polls go down. It is also the fact that the American people will not elect a candidate who insults every group that you can think of virtually every day. We are not going to elect a president who insults Mexicans and Latinos, who insults Muslims, who insults veterans, who insults women, who insults African Americans. The American people understand that our strength is in our diversity. They understand that when we come together as one people, black and white and Latino and Asian American and Native American, gay and straight, whatever we may be, we are stronger. And the American people understand that coming together always trumps dividing us up. And the American people also understand that what America is about and what makes us great is supporting each other. That when your family is in trouble, my family and our country are there for you. When my family is in trouble, your family and this country are there for us. And the American people understand that supporting each other always trumps selfishness. Most importantly, I think the American people understand what every major religion on earth has taught us for centuries. And that is that at the end of the day, love always trumps hatred. History has taught us one very profound lesson, and that is real change never takes place from the top on down. It always takes place from the bottom on up. Whether it is the history of workers standing up and fighting for their rights and forming unions, whether it is the civil rights movement where millions of people came together and said that we will end racism and bigotry in this country, whether it is the women's movement, people forget that less than 100 years ago, women in America did not have the right to vote, did not have the right to get the education or the jobs they wanted. But women came together, and some of them went to jail. Some of them went to jail. Some of them died in the struggle. But they and their male allies said that in America, women will not be second-class citizens. If we were here 10 years ago, no time at all, and somebody jumped up and said, you know, I think that in the United States of America, by the year 2015, gay marriage will be legal in every state in this country. Most people would not have believed that that would be possible. But what happened is over the decades, the gay community and their straight allies stood up, fought back, and said that in America, people should have the right to love whoever they wanted. That is the history of change. Change is about people by the millions looking around them and saying the status quo does not work. The status quo is wrong. We are going to change the status quo. And today, all over our country, coast to coast, people are looking and they're saying, you know what? This grotesque level of income and wealth inequality is wrong. It is wrong that the middle class for 40 years has been in decline. It is wrong that people have to work 2 or 3 jobs to survive. It is wrong that young people are leaving school $50,000 in debt. It is wrong that women are making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. It is wrong that we are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee paid family and medical leave, or that all of our people do not have health care as a right. And when people begin to look at those issues, they begin to challenge establishment thinking. And when people begin to look at these issues, they say, you know what? This is the United States of America. We can do better. What this campaign is about is telling you that no president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can transform this country in the way we need change all by himself. It can't be done by one person, because the powers that be on Wall Street, in corporate America, in the corporate media, in wealthy campaign contributors, these folks are so powerful that no one president can do it alone. What we need and what this campaign is about is a political revolution. And what that revolution means is that millions of people today are beginning to stand up and fight back and demand a government which represents all of us, not just a handful of billionaires. Next week, there is going to be a very important primary here in the beautiful state of Kentucky. And what we have learned so far on the campaign is that if there are large voter turnouts, we win. Let us make certain that for the Kentucky Democratic primary, we have the largest voter turnout in history. Thank you all very much.
Oh, yikes. Gosh, I don't know what that was. We want to see that. Get that off the screen. They just cut over. Wave 3 just cut over from whatever they were watching there. Hang on a second, everybody. That was Bernie Sanders. It looks like he's winning there. Let me bring Scott in.
Oh, it's Carly Fiorina, maybe.
Oh, well, we don't want to.
Where they cut to?
Yeah, they cut to Carly. Give me 1 second. I'll get you up on here. Where are you? You're over here. Hi, everybody. There's me and Scott now. So where we sit, we're at 45% reporting. Bernie Sanders with 52% right now. What do we got to worry about, Scott?
I think the only possible worry is what I was talking about earlier, Gary. It's Lake County. Hillary's up big there, but it says initial results. It doesn't even say 1%, 2%. I don't know what that means.
I saw that. I'm going to zoom out here just to show everybody what we're talking about. Maybe even zoom down here on the county. Lake County.
10,000 votes, so it shouldn't be. It should be a percentage. It shouldn't.
Right.
It shouldn't be less than 1% with 10,000. So what does that mean? What are they?
Yeah, I mean, if this is indicative of the final vote, how much effect will it even have? Right? I don't know. That's the curiosity here. So what we're looking at is
that's what I mean.
Numbers.
She's got a 30% lead there.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, this is where we stand right here, and we don't have any more information at this point. Yeah. Bernie did not. You see them. They came up to him twice to tell him where they were at, but because it hasn't been declared a win, he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of guy he is. What is this? All cities in Lake County is very small. Eddie just dropped a screenshot here. Okay.
All cities small. Lake County, Gary, Indiana is a major population center. It's probably 80% or 90% of the black vote in Indiana is in Gary.
There you go. Little information from Scott there. We'll clarify what Eddie was trying to say there on it with regard to that. And again, we're just waiting on final results. 46% in right now.
that northwest corner of Indiana is a suburb of Chicago, in essence.
Ah,
Is what
ah,
you cross into Illinois, you're in Chicago.
I see. Well, to recap the news, everybody. Before we started this rally, we were waiting on some results to come in. We had initial poll results. We had George Clooney. Oh, and Eddie wants to come in. That's Eddie, everybody. He's decided to drop in. Awesome. I think he wants to argue with Scott over the size of cities in Chicago, in Lake County. We'll find out what's going on there. What I was trying to say to everybody was that we found out that George Clooney was wrong. He said it was the truth that the DNC money that he and all of his other rich buddies were raising was going to the DNC for down-ticket candidates, and it's just been proven that that is completely false. 88% of the massive amount of money that George Clooney and his buddies raised is actually going right back to Hillary Clinton through the Hillary Clinton Victory Fund or whatever bullshit laundering scam fund it is. So if you're a Hillary supporter like George and you were backing Hillary because of the same reasons George was backing, well, you just lost your reasons. The money's going right back to Hillary. She even took a paycheck. Woman's got $13 million in the bank. She took a paycheck out of your money. That's, well, George's money, so I guess he doesn't give a shit. I don't know. Just wanted to let you know that. Eddie, what you doing in here? What you want to tell us? What's going on? Eddie? All right, I don't know. Any updates, Scott? 46% reporting. Are we just going to drag on here?
52-48 still. Just some of the exit polls. 60% found Bernie more inspiring. 60% of the Democratic voters in Indiana said the trust was important. That's higher than it's been in other places.
I love these exit polls. Trust is important. More so than it has been in the past. That's just... that just cracks me. What? Any other astonishing and revealing results there?
Well, nearly 50% of the voters were under 45 in Indiana, which is a good number for Bernie.
That's a good sign. That tells you right there. So thank you, Indiana. Sounds to me like you got out and voted, and that's an example of what it takes. You get out and vote. Hillary doesn't have as many people. So, thank you, Indiana, for kicking some ass.
And it's looking good. Bernie's winning St. Joseph's County 52-47. That's where Notre Dame is.
Oh?
In Monroe County, he's winning 65-35. That's where the University of Indiana is.
Cool.
And in Vigo County, he's winning 54-45. That's where Indiana State is.
And these are, well, so college towns is essentially what you're talking about. And there were certain counties like Lake County. You were expecting to go for Hillary Clinton?
It's where the largest concentration of African American voters are.
Again, with the minority vote for Hillary Clinton is what we're assuming there, right? Which is just so weird. I don't know. At this point, I just have a hard. I don't understand that. I just don't understand. If you are any minority voting for Hillary Clinton, what is wrong with you?
Now where Indianapolis is, it's been dead even the whole. It's 50-49 right now, Bernie, but it keeps going back and forth. The county where Indianapolis is.
So Eddie's saying Bernie's winning by about 11,000 votes overall right now. So when you think about how many votes count and does your vote count, 11,000 votes. That's not a lot. That's not a lot.
Maybe I need to go to another site and find out what initial results means for Gary.
I keep refreshing, hoping it'll tell me more. They haven't changed.
Well, it says that on the Republican side, too, but only 4,000 votes. 5,000 votes.
Interesting. What are you guys saying in chat? I'm not even paying attention anymore. My bad. I should be running the chat. I've been running this Indiana primary. I know I got it going here. Where are we going here on the chat? I lost you guys. Where'd it go?
Now Evansville's. Vandenberg is where Evansville is. Okay.
No.
I was wondering where Vandenberg was. So that is pretty important. Hillary is winning big there, and there's not much in.
So, hey, Eddie, I'm getting in from everybody in chat's telling me 17,000 votes ahead. I'm not sure where this number's coming from. Are we looking at old data? We need to update where we're getting this stuff from. I'm seeing 17,000, 16,000. You're welcome, Melissa. Thank you for being here. Thank you guys for being here. This is, I don't have Wolf Blitzer's set, but I also tell the truth. I also don't have Wolf Blitzer's bullshit. So, you know, just that. But when Bernie's winning by 11, okay, where are you getting that information from? What is this about Cruz? Something's going down with Cruz. What happened?
He's on stage now. Let's see. Oh, he's suspended. He's out.
He dropped out?
Yeah.
Oh. Uh-oh.
There's breaking news. Cruz to suspend campaign.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because of the way Eddie wrote the headline. So I think I'll read the headline to you as Eddie has written it for us. Breaking news. Source CNN. Ted Cruz has been schlonged by Trump. He is so screwed. Full story at 11. And that's just a mental image. I don't really need. That's just not even right. Oh, how are we hanging in there, everybody? I'm still seeing 49% reporting in a couple like LaPorte County, out, Hancock County, Henry County, Jennings, Scott, and Posey County. No results so far. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. College towns. So it sounds like the youth brought it, and this is what we need to see. Wouldn't we see the same in California? I hope we see the same in California. But that's going to be like a youth versus retired versus Hollywood celebrity, isn't it? Like battle to the finish in California. It's gonna be insane.
That's what it'll be in the South, but I think in the Bay Area, I think there's a strong older vote for Bernie.
Yeah.
The old comrades. Let's see.
Nice. Well, we're all pinko commies here anymore, aren't we? I'll gladly take that label over Democrat, based on what we've learned of how the Democratic Party functions. It's really sad. With Cruz gone, I just wonder, with Cruz gone, Trump will most likely be the nominee. Yeah, I mean, obviously, right? It's now. What does the Republican Party do while we wait for more results? 53% right now for Bernie, 47% Hillary. That just changed. Let me show you guys that just so we can all go wee together.
Well, if they're gonna steal it,
the Repubs.
Yeah, then having Kasich as the only one in helps them in their move to steal it.
And what would they do with that? Would they contest their own convention, or how would they?
Yeah, if he doesn't get to the magic number, then on the second ballot, people can vote for Kasich.
So is this literally like how we're doing the same thing on our side of thing? We're like, this is awesome. So here we are on the Democratic side of thing. We are fighting the establishment candidate with our anti-establishment candidate, and we have talked about having to add his name to the ballot if necessary. On the Republican side of things, they have an anti-establishment candidate that the Republican Party is going to fight by adding some other name onto their ballot to get him elected, potentially. Do you see Kasich having a chance in hell?
I hate calling Trump anti-establishment.
But he calls himself that.
But since they can't buy him, the rest of the establishment doesn't want him to be the nominee. They don't.
Right.
They want somebody they can have in their pocket.
Let me rephrase. Anti-Beltway establishment. He's not part of the Beltway, right? He's part of the other end. He's part of one of the other triangle points. You know. He helps them launder the money, right? They can't buy him when he's part of the scheme. Oh, this is our nation. This is the history of the United States of America, right? Just think about that, everybody, when you grew up and you were young and you read a history book and you're reading about the wonderfulness of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and whatever whitewashed version of history you were given as a child. And think about what they'll say about Bush. Think about what they'll say about this bullshit going down right here. I hope in the end what they say is, wow, look at how awesome American citizens were to wake up quickly and save their asses. That's what I hope the end narrative ends up being. Oh, exit poll data, guys. Hang on a second. Let's start showing you some other numbers. First of all, let's go back to this. Bernie, 53. Hillary Clinton, 47, with 51% reporting. And
another good sign that the numbers will hold is Hillary's at home. She's not anywhere on the campaign trail.
She's not even at a dinner party?
No, she's not even.
Not out with George?
No.
Here's a exit poll data. That's interesting. Sanders 60. So 60 to 52 is what we're looking at here. Split men, women on this exit poll. I hope those numbers hold true. That would be nice. Watch Bernie keep climbing here.
I don't see that.
Screenshots by Eddie. We're going to hashtag that. 53% reporting, everybody. I want you to remember this feeling. The next time you're down, I want you to think about this. Okay, this is how war goes. You win a battle, you lose a battle. You win battles, you lose battles. So we just felt down and discouraged, and the establishment was like, you should just drop out, and you should, why are you even doing this? And what did we do? We said, fuck you. We're going to be right here. We've got a political revolution to continue. It's not about bowing out just because we lost a few states. Right? We just kicked some serious ass here in Indiana. We've got West Virginia. We've got Guam. Guam burns. West Virginia burns. We already know that. Hillary said she wasn't even sure why she was there. It shouldn't go there. People told her not to go there. Right? So we're looking at a slew of victories coming up here. And what we need to do with this is full court press. We need to push our narrative. Bernie's not stopping. Hillary has no chance to win against Donald Trump. And she really doesn't. That's the scary thing. So if the Democrats want to win this race, they need to push Bernie Sanders. And Hillary Clinton is not going to get the support of the vast majority of Berners. I won't vote for her. I don't give a shit what the narrative is. So she's really got a problem. And what she needs to do, and what we will force her to do here, if we keep moving, if we keep pushing, is bow out. That's my personal dream. I know it won't happen, but we can continue to take control. We can continue to take power. And notice that right now, they're talking about this. They're talking about this problem with the delegates. They're talking about this issue with the money coming back through the DNC back to Hillary Clinton. We need to spin that. We need to make sure that keeps cycling back to the top when we talk about that and talk about that. Because I bet George Clooney is pretty pissed off right now because he was just made a fool of. And we need to message George, tweet George, send him that. Let him know that he was full of shit. And he got, made fool of by Hillary Clinton, who he just spent more than $500,000 to hang out with. I'd be pissed. I don't know about you. But this is what victory in politics feels like. So pat yourself on the back and enjoy the victory. And be proud of your hard work and then get back to work. Because we have more to do. More phone banking to do. More face banking to do. All right. Done with the rate. 54% I see, Scott.
Yeah.
Inching along, everybody.
Everything's still holding pretty much the same.
I love the comments from the I love this. Eddie, we are at halftime in Indiana, and Jesse, this is a small victory in a large war. Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's some more exit poll data. Let's check this out.
Where are you? Let's see.
I have no idea where Eddie's grabbing these screenshots.
But I don't see him. Oh, let's see.
They're in Slack.
Okay.
So we're looking at Clinton Sanders divided up by, this is the age group where they voted. That's, I mean, of course. I hate to say it, but that's been the narrative the whole time, right? And the more of the older folks we can bring over to the light, we can educate, inform, right? Pull away from the tube, the more we win. Thank you, Indiana, for bringing out the youth. Kicking some ass. Look at that, 72% Sanders, 29 and younger. 65% Sanders, 44 and younger. For some reason, my age group starts, I'm 46, right at the tail end of that, and we start to fall off. I don't know what happens there. That's when you leave Gen X and start heading into baby boomer age, which is where Scott's at, I think. Right? Can we blame you, Scott, for everybody your age, just generically?
I'm 50, so I'm right in the...
All right, you're right there in the Gen X, too. You're not that much older than me.
Yeah.
All right. CNN peoples.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to...
This is where this is coming from. Apparently, this is coming from CNN, so I have no idea whether it's trustworthy or not. 56%. We just jumped up in reporting. Hang on a second, guys. Reporting percentage.
Varies depending on...
So this, and by the way, we're getting this is from the New York Times, so who knows. 53% Bernie Sanders at this point. That has remained for a while, and 56% reporting. And I'm just going to check our weird states. Lake County, Gary, Indiana, has not changed. We're still looking at initial results, and we have no idea what initial results mean. Okay. Fort Wayne, 52% Bernie. And Indianapolis is for Bernie right now, but that's been a really close back and forth. And we're looking at about 400 out of 600 precincts reporting. Evansville, as Hillary Clinton, 64%. But that also, no, that's just a very few precincts reporting. That's Vanderburgh County, 18 of 136 reporting. So very small results. I find it interesting that those numbers, that 35, 3, 64, 7, are the same results. What I'm looking at here is the results for the two counties that are saying initial results only, or very low reporting, have that same estimation number, 65%, 34%. So, I don't know about that. We just bumped up again, 57%. And apparently Lake and Vanderburgh counties are going to stay messed up for a while. They call races when a candidate takes most of the big cities. Very true. That is very true. All right. We're going to hang in with you guys and see if we can't get a win posted for Bernie Sanders. And as soon as we see that win posted for Bernie, which you know is going to take them forever. When Hillary's in there, they just give it to her. With Bernie, they wait to the very last moment because they don't really want to report it, and it makes Wolf all pouty and depressed, and he doesn't know what to do with himself. All right, comment mods, you rock. Thank you so much for cranking it out this evening. Really, really appreciate it. Fantastic conversation, you guys. Absolutely fantastic conversation. That's what it's about. Thank you, Bad Wolf, Cindy, Alice, Kara. You guys kicking serious ass. Thank you so much. We will stay with you here, everybody in the audience. We'll stay with you, hang out until we get a final on this. We're at 57% reporting. And still waiting on those big counties. At this point, do you think it's going to cause a major shift? Do you think Hillary has a chance of taking this, Scott?
I think it's possible. If it was impossible, they would call it. But
that's okay. So right, good logical point there, Sid. How dare you use logic on me, you bastard? You don't think it's just them being assholes?
And I don't know anything that much about Evansville. It's one of the more populated towns in Indiana, but in Gary, they could be purposely holding back the count in Gary. So,
yeah, interesting. That's an interesting thought. Well, earlier I was talking about the Did I mention this? No. So we're talking about the corruption in the DNC and how the money flows from Hillary supposedly to the down ticket candidates, but it doesn't. And just for the record, that information was provided to us. Oh, I still have the George Clooney freeze face. Let's show everybody that. That's great. So Politico broke this story yesterday. Common Dreams covered it, and the Bernie Sanders campaign released a couple press releases on it. But George Clooney, and this, I'll tell you what, if this had happened to me, this would be my face. Okay, I would be so unhappy if I were if I were. See, that's what he's saying. It's like, I thought it was the truth. It's not. Right? I'm busted. So what happened there was George was caught on camera saying, well, the money we raise, it goes to down ticket candidates, but it doesn't. And let me just show you why. 58% reporting in, everybody, by the way. The reason I want to cover this a lot is because everybody keeps talking about money in politics, and this is the perfect example of how the Clinton campaign and the establishment launder money, and like blatantly, right in front of their faces, right in front of people that are donating to the campaign. And George Clooney also agrees that there's too much money in politics, and he donated to Hillary because he was hoping that she would help get money out of politics, which is asinine because she is money in politics. She is the quintessential queen of money in politics. What this article in Politico talks about is the fact that most of the money, 88%, doesn't go to down-ticket candidates. Okay? And here's Bernie Sanders saying, hey, it's a money laundering scheme. And here's Common Dreams saying, what the fuck? And here's a petition that you can sign on the Bernie Sanders campaign site that says, tell the Clinton campaign transfer the victory fund money to state parties like you're supposed to do. Like you bitched at Bernie Sanders for not doing. Because that's the other thing. They ragged on Bernie Sanders for not bringing money into the campaign. When they did that, he went out, raised a few $100,000 or whatever it was. It was a decent amount of money, and it actually went into the DNC and actually went to the down-ticket candidates. He didn't funnel it back around into the Sanders campaign. You know why? He didn't need to, because we raise him all the money he needs. So I don't understand what this is. I don't understand why this is legal in our country. Probably, of course, it's not. But you can't control the government. You can't stop them. They do whatever the hell they want. Right? So please help me by sharing that with George Clooney. Let him know that he has been duped. Ask him to stand up for his own integrity and save his own face, and call Hillary out on this. Say, what the fuck? All of those people, George and all of his buddies that truly believe that their money is going to help down-ticket candidates and save our democracy, ask him publicly, please, pound the shit out of George Clooney and Twitter and all of his social spaces. Go, you tell us, George, is it the truth or are you a liar? What's going on? Because I like George Clooney as a person, but I think he's an idiot when it comes to understanding what's going on with our government right now. Where are we at? Boom.
No real change.
No real change. That's not exciting. 58%. Real change. Well, you know what? There is some change. You just missed it, Scott. There's another green square filled in. So there was some change there. We filled in a green square.
Okay.
I don't know what county that was, but we got some results from somebody. What are we talking about? Oh, Eddie. Okay, so we're looking at Bernie is leading by, Eddie's given us some numbers, 24,000 votes, 54% reporting. That's old news. We're at 59% reporting right now, actually. All right. The delegate split, Scott, is it's just all it means right now is it splits, basically. Bernie may get a little bit more at this point, you know.
Yeah.
Super delegate wise, are the super delegates in this in Indiana all Hillary? Do we know?
As far as I know, I don't know of any Bernie super delegates, but we don't learn anything about super delegates tonight because it doesn't have anything to do with the vote.
All right. Works for me. Works for me.
Yeah.
What else do you guys have going on? Here. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Clinton lost a superdelegate in New York today when Sheldon Silver went to jail. Really? Sheldon Silver went to jail? Nice. And we gained a superdelegate. That's badass. That's great.
How did we gain? Do we know who
somebody,
the replacement is?
I don't know. Get back in the chat. Find out. I'm reading it. I'm trying to find out what's going on here. I'm just looking at what you're saying.
By him going to jail doesn't mean we gain one. That's the.
All right, somebody explain that to us. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it. Everybody, explain to us how that works. And yeah, we're waiting on more results. So let me go a little more into another subject. Colorado. We're talking about this earlier today. Okay. Colorado had, or they have, an oil and gas commission, a conservation commission. I don't understand what that. You can't have oil and gas and conservation in the same sentence. It makes no sense. Anyway, the Supreme Court just overturned the city of Longmont and city of Fort Collins, who said, we don't want fracking. We're banning fracking in our cities. And the Supreme Court of Colorado said, fuck you. We're going to frack there if we want because it's part of the Oil and Gas Conservation Act Commission bullshit. I think that's ridiculous. And if you're in Colorado, and that pisses you off too, because if a city votes and holds, say, we don't want this happening here, the state shouldn't get to overturn that. It's oil and gas. It's dumb to be doing it anyway. It's environmentally unfriendly. We all know this. We have to stop doing oil and gas. I'm not even sure why there's a commission to create more oil and gas. Colorado is very frack happy and has been. They make all sorts of money. I don't know why they don't just stick with weed now, but they're very fracking happy. So we need to fight that. And we've got a couple of our volunteers, Mickey and Eric, that are going to be looking into that, working on that. My father lives in Longmont, Colorado. We're going to be talking with Mike Butler, hopefully soon, who is the chief of police. I've had him on before, and we're going to talk to him because I bet he's pretty upset about the fact that the Supreme Court just overturned their decision, his city's decision, his people's decision to ban fracking. It's absolutely ridiculous what our government thinks they can get away with in the name of greed and just override the will of the people. There's just a bunch of rich guys in this commission because they're buddies with Chevron and Exxon. Right? So if you're in Colorado, just know that that's going on.
Ohio's pretty frack crazy too.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Trump uses it to bash Kasich sometimes. Not that he's against fracking, but he says that the economy's not doing that good in Ohio. They have all this fracking, and the economy's still not good.
Right.
That was Trump, by the way. That's not my opinion.
That's a nice Trump there. Everybody, I'm going to see if we can't show this to you. I just saw a chat say that the results are coming in for Gary, and I'm going to show you what they are. You can see that right there. It says now it's down to 55% for Hillary. 11,000 votes, Hillary, 8,800, Bernie Sanders right now, and that's with 100 of 525 precincts reporting. I bet that gap's going to continue to close. And that is nice. We're at 61% total reporting in for the state. Bernie Sanders with a lead at 53%. And now that you've seen that, does Hillary still? Well, I guess don't answer. She still has a chance because there's
still a lot out there. Let's see.
We're waiting for it to come in, everybody.
Still the same in. Oh no, that's Gibson. Let's see. It's still only 18 of 136 in Vandenberg. Still.
Well, and Hillary is running out of money. I saw somebody who'd made that statement in chat. You're absolutely right. She's totally running out of money. They know that. She knows that. You want to here.
How could she be? They just transfer it from the states.
but now is that money allowed to pay salaries? Because maybe not. Maybe you're right. If she's got that.
Oh no, it pays salaries at the DNC. They're transferring money. The Clinton staffer transfers money from the state parties to the DNC.
Right, and then the DNC
they don't
transfers it out.
Transfer it back to Hillary.
Well, from the DNC they do. That's what they're saying. It goes from her back to.
That's the question.
I think
the spending that the DNC is doing benefiting Hillary.
Well, I think that's what Politico uncovered. They wouldn't be calling it out if it was just going back to the DNC. If it was going back to the DNC and the DNC is holding on to it, then okay. But what these super delegates are saying is, I'm supposed to have gotten a certain amount of money by now. I don't have it. Where's my money?
Yeah.
So I think they're calling out. I want to play this. I forgot about this clip. New York is dealing with the election fraud. And somebody sent this link. I don't know who you were. Thank you so much. This is recorded at the New York hearing. I don't know what was going on here, but listen to this woman. Listen to what she says. She makes a really good point here about elected officials and the job they did here. And they cut her off, but I just want to say 3 cheers to this woman, and whoever these people is she's talking to, they should be fired immediately. This is just a perfect example of the rampant corruption and idiocy within our government.
Hi. I have to say that I was born in New York City. I've lived here for over 4 decades, and I've never seen anything like this in my life. It was the most embarrassing, dysfunctional, inefficient, and poorly run election I've ever seen. And I do understand from reading the papers yesterday that you've received a 10% raise. I know that 10% raises, which I've never received in my life, more than like 1%, not even, 10% raises come when you've done an excellent job. This was a horrific job. Okay, this was not only a botched job, it was embarrassing to the people who call themselves native New Yorkers. I cannot walk around like this until this is fixed. I do not like paying for people that you keep asking me to come and volunteer. We should come out and stop our jobs and help you with this. No, this is your, I'm sorry, this is your job. And what it says today in the New York Times, excuse me, in Tribeca, because I have, I'm sorry I'm getting so angry. I'm so embarrassed. This is so denigrating to me. I went to Stuyvesant, I went to Cooper Union, I went to the great schools of this city, I was born in the New York hospital, and I'm embarrassed as a New Yorker.
What's the poll site?
The poll site that I go to, because I am in a affordable housing program, allows me to live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in, which I could never live in otherwise, right? So I went to poll at Tribeca. You know how nice it is at Tribeca? You get donuts, you get coffee, and you get a massage. That's how nice it is there. Brooklyn, we know Brooklyn got completely robbed. And no, my time is not up. I want to announce today, I'm sorry, I want to announce today that Bill de Blasio, since 2010, as the public advocate for New York, started investigation into the primary election process. And I'm sorry, but since 2010, he's had 6 years. I don't care. He's had 6 years to fix it. Now is not the time to fix it. It was last week.
Next speaker, please. Sarah McAllister. All right, girl.
That's your government at work. And thanks to that lady and all the people, there's 34 minutes of this. I'm guessing it's 34 minutes of pissed off New Yorkers getting up and telling these pathetic politicians and public servants to make sure they understand their jobs. They are public servant. I don't care who you are. POTUS on down. You work for me. You work for that lady at the podium. We are the boss. And I agree with her. You don't get a 10% raise when you've done a shit job. It sure looks to me like the New York Election Commission, whoever the hell they are, did a shit job. And this is common across all of our government officials. They pay themselves whatever the fuck they want. And there's no accountability. They do shit jobs. When do we get to hold them accountable? Never. You know why? Because they control the entire mechanism, and they do a shit job. The only way this changes is by removing these assholes and voting in people who won't do shit jobs. And that requires us getting off our asses, protesting, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I, unfortunately, will not be able to do the 1 foot in, but I damn well will do the 1 foot out. And there are
They did
many
a terrible job.
What?
They did a terrible job, but that's the job that they were paid to do.
Well, right. Let's Scott's very right about that. You know, the terrible. So by their boss's standards, job well done. Okay.
Yeah.
That's you know, one person's terrible job is another person's successful election fraud. And that's essentially what they needed to pull off. In order to beat Bernie Sanders in New York, they had to pull off massive election fraud. And they did it. You know, that's the sad thing. That's the sad thing. Let's take a look at some results. Or we got some new stuff going on? I don't see any changes here. 64%.
It's getting dark in here.
Let's see. Dark over there by you? What do we got going on? I don't see him having declared Bernie winner yet here. Yeah, DNC, you're screwed up. Oh. I got the only time a shit job is acceptable is in the bathroom. Yes, it is. You're making me laugh. You're making me laugh. In other notes, did I cover this too? I don't know if I covered this. Where's the Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Here, just for fun. When you find out that you've said something was true publicly in front of millions of people, and it turns out it's not true, this is what you look like. It would piss me off too, George. It would make my face go absolutely insane to find out that the person I was backing, that I just spent more than $500,000 to hang out with, had lied to me. That my entire Democratic Party had lied to me. I would be mad too, George. I would have a hard time with that. I get it. I get it. I can't find my Debbie Wasserman Schultz article where it turns out she basically thinks the entire Democratic Party should not allow any independent voters. All right? Should all be closed. If you're not registered Democrat, fuck you. That's Debbie Wasserman Schultz's version of the Democratic Party and democracy. Yeah. I can't wait to get her out of office. If there's like one thing we do, it's get Debbie Wasserman Schultz out of her job. Right? Just outrageous. I'm seeing a note here. Bernie's leading by about 30,000 votes. That's pretty cool. Transcripts, Hillary, we'll never get the transcripts. You know that. We'll never get those transcripts, guys. 65% reporting in. They still haven't given the win to Bernie. 53% for Sanders. Looks like Lake County is still at the same reporting percentage, 100. Yes, Washer. Okay, I'm just going to say this once. I don't have the link in the rundown, and I wouldn't run it on the Bernie channel because, you know, I'm trying to keep this all nice. There is somebody out there who's done these really, really interesting, well-done animations where they take the Star Wars and they put the characters of our race in there. And, yeah, Bernie is, of course, Luke Skywalker. And I'm just going to give you that Bernie is Luke Skywalker. You guys can fill in the rest of the pictures and images with who you think the characters are. Go find that. Somebody drop it into chat. I'm just going to leave it there. I think it stays on point mostly and then falls a little bit into a South Park-esque kind of comedy. And just be warned, you may not want to see Elizabeth Warren this way. That's all I'm going to say. Just that. All I'm going to say. New updates, information? Scott, anyone? Nothing? Nope.
Nope, it's tightening in Vandenberg. Let's see. Vandenberg County's 52-47 Hillary now with 40 of 136 precincts.
Interesting.
Reporting. She was in the 60s when it was stuck at 18% reporting.
Interesting. Hey, here's something I just found out about. Did you know that Robert Reich is making this movie here, Saving Capitalism, and it looks like they've got all the money they need to make it. So that'll be cranking out soon. That's pretty cool. Just found out about this. All of this is important because we need to tell the truth, and we need to get the truth out. So if we can produce a film, get it somewhere, I think it's a good move. Do you guys support that? No, Chris Christie is not Jabba the Hutt. Chris Christie's out of the race. Is Bernie Obi-Wan? Well, okay, Bernie's Obi-Wan. But it looked like they were doing a kind of, the one I saw anyway, it kind of looked like not Return of the Jedi, but maybe it was Return of the Jedi.
We haven't seen the last of Chris Christie. In fact, we're probably going to see him tonight.
You think?
He'll be standing behind Trump. He was last week.
Is he? What is he now? Is he just a lapdog? Is he is he hoping on a position somewhere? Is that what he's doing?
I think he might be hoping on vice president.
Oh God! Oh, what
Would you
a horrible,
Trump and Christie?
horrible. That's just oh. I don't even. That's a terrible thought. I get that. If he picks Christie, does that help or hinder Hillary? Or not even effective?
I don't know.
I doubt it'll affect him.
No, Eddie, you don't think it'll affect him?
Yeah, coming from someone from Jersey, Christie, yeah, it's not going to help out.
All right, not going to help out.
It's not going to ruin him either. People don't even know Christie, so it does nothing.
Right, all right.
But he's kind of consistent with the Trump persona. Supposedly, the people that support Trump think he's a straight talker, and that's kind of the image that Christie has, is a straight talker. And
those facial expressions say otherwise.
I find it hard to hear you say straight talker. I suppose it's like,
that's what they think. They believe that they believe Trump is authentic and not saying what he believes and not a politician. And
right. I mean,
that's true.
I think the CEO of Nestle is authentic. I also think he's a fucking asshole and a horrific racist man who should die. You know? I mean, being authentic. Hitler was authentic, right? He truly believed in the shit coming out of his mouth, but listen to the shit coming out of his mouth. Jeez.
That's the image that Christie has too, is that he's off the cuff and say what he means.
Just disgusting.
The reason he won was pretty much he was able to give a straight face. It happened to the people that knew Corzine was just a disaster, because Corzine was running for re-election when he was going against Christie for his gubernatorial bid in 2009, I think. Yeah, 2009. So what happened was he screwed up Atlantic City. So Christie went all in on that, and pretty much he was able to lie with a straight face, which pretty much gave him the independent vote and some Democrats, which gave him his win in New Jersey.
Oh, all right. Thank you for that update. I'm seeing some people in chat. Hang on, guys. Before we move on to this lovely story
Eddie,
of Christie.
How old were you then?
9.
Eddie does research, everybody. I'm seeing people in chat telling me that this has been called for Bernie. Is that true, or we just called it? They called it for Bernie. Bernie.
There's no call.
MSNBC is saying they called it. We got a verification on that?
I got nothing.
Yeah, I think the tightening in Vandenberg and the tightening in Gary probably were enough for them to call it.
I love this.
Ahead in either place, but.
All right, MSNBC is apparently the first call. Well, now wait a minute, guys. You can't. I love this. Now, how very establishment of you. You can't say called it and then say projected winner. All right, projected winner is not called it. That's
what they. It's always projected until.
Well, of course. I know. I'm joking with you. Win. No, here, listen. So that's fantastic. Remember the feeling. Savor the feeling. We're gonna have a couple more of those coming real soon. All right. We're gonna have a couple more of those happening real soon. But it doesn't matter. I don't want you to get all excited about it, because the establishment media is gonna fight right back with the narrative that Bernie can't win. They're gonna fight right back with the narrative that we got to be worried about Trump, and we need to fight back with the narrative that not worried about Trump and not going to vote for Hillary. My personal opinion. This is BTV. You guys do what you think you want to do. I know there are some here that are going to take that strategic route. We don't know what Bernie's going to do yet. I do recall him saying, let's let the people decide. Okay? And I think we have a great opportunity here to decide a lot of things about either the Democratic Party as it moves forward or whatever new party we create. And Bernie and Jane made it very clear that this continues. It doesn't stop. What that looks like, we don't know yet. And we don't need to care because we have more states to win and we have a contested convention to go kick some ass at. So phone bank, face bank, do everything we need to do. Don't stop. Keep going. Laugh at establishment media, flip off Hillary, and move on. This is what it feels like to win. Yay! And then remember that Colorado and everything else around the world is filled with fracking, and we need to stop that right now because the election really doesn't matter. The planet's going to die in 10 years. Have a good night. No, just kidding. No, seriously, remember that the priority is the planet. Bernie knows this. Right? The priority is the planet. And everything we need to do everything is set up. Did I run this earlier, Scott? I think I ran the Naomi Klein movie. Did I run that earlier while we were waiting? Okay. Remember that movie? Like, think about this. We have the power, we have the means, the resources, the initiative to completely transform our planet very quickly for the benefit of all, except maybe the greedy rich, except what the benefit for them is they'll get to continue to live on this planet. But we can do this. And it starts with Bernie, state by state. So feel the burn, everybody. We're gonna get out of here because Bernie won. Scott, is there anything you want to say before we fly? Eddie?
I think we're good.
All right. Everybody, comment mods, moderators, thank you so much. Wrenches, audience, thank you for being here. You honor us with your presence. That's what this is about, is having a great conversation, a discussion. Because in order for us to take an active role in our democracy, we have to talk about it. And we have to be informed and know what the hell is going on. So pay attention to your independent media networks, because that's where the truth is told, not where George is. All right? Poor George. All right. We're going to go out with, that's not what I wanted to go out with at all. Oh, man, I'm terrible. I don't have it loaded. I apologize, everybody. You know what I'm going to go out with, don't you? You know. I just got to find it. I lost it. Here it is. Here it is. I often don't figure out what I want to run until halfway through the show because it depends on where we go. So thank you for being on this journey with me and everybody here at BTV. We're going to get out of here with End of the Corporate Age because we really do have an opportunity to end the corporate age of greed with Bernie Sanders. And that's what we need to do to save this planet and the human species. Feel the burn.
The wealthiest people of this country have seen a tremendous increase in their income, while at the same time, the standard of living of working people and poor people has declined.
CEOs make more than 500 times of what their workers make. The middle class is shrinking.
Poverty is increasing, while at the same time, the people on top are doing phenomenally well.
People always tell me, man, you're wasting your time. Can't you see the monolith is immobile? Yes, I tell them kindly, still I've made up my mind. 'Cause the sky above's as big and limitless as it ever was. Gather round people in the town square. It's the end of the corporate age. There's a new caveat, let the center beware. This is the end of the corporate age.
fantastic time. From my standpoint, this is the best time that I've ever had.
All the bloviators keep on spreading the meme that there's only so much room at the table, telling us we're lucky to be eating the scraps, but we've got all the facts and we're taking our places back.
Billionaires shouldn't be allowed to hide in the shadows. Make them step out in the open where the American people can see.
Gather round, people, in the town square. It's the end of the corporate age. There's a new caveat at the center beware. This is the end of the corporate age.
We are well on our way to seeing our great country move toward an oligarchic form of government.
There's no quick and easy remedy that won't end in more calamity.
Corporate America, Wall Street, the major campaign donors are so powerful that no president can take them on unless tens of millions of people say, guess what, Washington? You are going to start representing the needs of working families and the middle class, not just the billionaire class. We know what's going on. We are paying attention.
Huge